Sometimes grind vicious. Excited. Yes, sir. Mm, hmm. We could try our technique. Solid and then tough. And I've been doing Wordle on my own a lot. All right. Well, that's convenient as hell. What the? I'm Steph Curry and fucking Wordle, man. That's usually we go tough and solid, and then there's another word we usually do. I forgot what it is, but hey, I guess you know it'll work today. What the? What the? I do Wordle every morning, man. I've been getting better. The solid, tough technique goes crazy. Let's go. Yes, sir. Okay. The hold on.
Okay, sorry about that, chat. Well, we talked about Wordle. We don't realize I was muted. Thank you, Mr. Vegeta, for bringing that up. I don't know why my mic was not getting picked up. But, okay, so we did Wordle. Murph just was killing it, as always. Uh, and now, so we're going to talk about health tips for you guys, various different health tips. Kind of start with myself talking about or start Murph, sorry, talking about like some strength training stuff, and then we're gonna go to kind of more myself talking about some recovery techniques once you kind of get done with that workout. So Murph, kind of repeat myself, sorry. Just kind of, you know, tell us a little about strength training. You know, you were a personal trainer. Kind of like what's some of the best techniques to grow them muscles. Internally and all that different stuff.
All right. So I used to be like Vicious said, I used to be a personal trainer. But in the same breath I also used to do powerlifting competitions. So I used to powerlift competitively and um when I started off, I was a pretty hefty boy. I was the heaviest I had ever been. Where now I'm pretty heavy too. I'm like 287, but I'm a lot leaner. I'm a lot leaner at 287 than I used to be when I first started. Just to give a little bit of a backstory on Murph in the olden days. Um, I to lose all the fat, what I used to do every single day was a mile of cardio, and I used to run home from the gym, which was about like a half mile away, and then I used to run to the gym. And each day I was consuming around 1,700 calories. Um, and then you're playing sports, you're walking around in school, things like that. So then I got down to 8% body fat. But the problem was that I was super scrawny at 8% body fat. And for muscle growth and strength training, what I recommend personally is compound exercises such as deadlift, squats. You can even include bench press, even though that really isn't a compound exercise. But it works out so many different muscles up your upper body. It works your chest, your shoulders, your triceps, your biceps, your back. It literally works out the whole entire shebang when you're working chest. Or no, sorry, not chest, but when you're doing bench press. So technically, I guess you could say compound, but compound exercise means that it's working your entire body, including your core. That's why deadlifts and squats were so crucial to me back then, because I wasn't even used to do isolated workouts, especially during my powerlifting era. So my PR for deadlift was 750 at 218. Um, Squat, I think, was like 650, 660 at the same weight. And my bench has always been my weakest point. So it was like 275 or something like that is what I maxed out at on a bench. But the thing that helped me get a lot stronger was doing accessory movements for those compound lifts. So to get better at deadlifting and squatting, I used to do legs 3 times a week. 2 days were strength training, so I was going super heavy, low reps, and I was doing around 6 to 8 full sets of that to really, really like get those muscles tired and get as much blood pumping in there as I possibly could. So the whole thing about muscle growth is about the tear of muscle fibers and trying to fill that muscle up, or like pump as much blood as you can into that muscle in that moment. So for those people who like to pose down after their workouts, do you ever notice that your muscles are genuinely bigger after you've done a really hard workout? That's because you have about 45 minutes of looking like that. That's called it's something window. I forgot what it's called. But also, there's a reason why they tell you that you only have 30 to 45 minutes to get protein into your body after a really hard workout because of the metabolic window. So, the metabolic window, your body is more prone to metabolize protein and send it to your muscles to repair the muscle fibers that you just tore. So what that does is making sure you hit your protein in your metabolic window is it ensures that you're going to get your protein sources directly where they need to go, and that a majority of it won't get discarded or that it won't go to waste. So um, that's a part of your strength training because you need to make sure you're getting in your right nutrients, you're getting your protein in the same windows every single time, because if you don't, you're basically wasting your protein powder. And sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. There's so much information. So yeah, for squats, I used to really focus on my hamstrings and my quads, and I used to do a lot of good girl, bad girls. Or that's what I call them. I know the good girls. I don't know what the other ones are called, but I call them bad girls because it's easier to remember. I used to do a lot of Russian deadlift, which is like you grab some heavy ass dumbbells and you're basically doing a straight legged deadlift. Obviously you have a slight bend because it really hurts if you don't bend your knees there. And also for deadlift, I used to always work my back a lot because you need a strong back in order to deadlift a lot of weight. So again, this all falls into doing accessory exercises for these major compound movements. And if you're trying to see growth in your muscles, I would say, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the word is hypertrophy. You want to basically work your muscles to a point of exhaustion. And also, quick little word of wisdom. If you're going to the gym and doing a workout and you're taking the gym seriously, and excuse me, every single set, you're not working out that muscle till it feels like it's going to fall off. What's the point of going to the gym? Going to the gym is the purpose of pushing yourself to a limit you didn't know you could go to, but because of mental fortitude and willpower, you're able to get to that point. And those reps that you feel like you can't do are the ones that are going to build your muscles the most. Even if you have to do half reps, that's the moment in which your muscles will grow the most. So as many reps as you can get, especially when you're already at failure, push yourself past failure. And if you need a spotter, don't be scared to ask somebody in the gym, man. Your safety is the number one concern every time. So always make sure you're safe at the gym. But um, the main thing, and also side note, before I'll preface this by saying my bicep genetics are the worst. But recently, I've been able to really grow my biceps and triceps. So I work out biceps and triceps 2 times a week, and all I do is so half of the so the 1 week I'll do heavy weights, kind of to mid reps. So I'll do like uh curls with the 40-pound dumbbells, and I'll do anywhere from 5 to 7 reps. And then on the other day I'll do 30s to 35, and I'll do like 12 to 15 reps. Each set is about 6 to 8 sets. And I do this because, when you work out for so long, your muscles get super, super, super used to these movements. Your muscle fibers aren't tearing as much because they've already been through this type of trauma. So you have to consistently shock your body with what you're doing so that it doesn't get used to it. The human body is insane. The human body can convince itself that it's sick when it's not sick. So you gotta really, really work hard on not necessarily. And I say this because I'm weird, but you have to torture yourself in the gym in order to get real growth. What else didn't I touch on? This is
I mean, you think hit on most things. I mean, is there, I guess, for someone that's starting at the gym, how do you kind of determine, where to start, or kind of what's the best thing to do for a person new to the gym to start with?
okay. It usually depends on their goals. If somebody's goal is to lose fat, build muscle, I would recommend to do, try your best on the treadmill to run a mile. Even if it takes you 20 minutes to run that mile, you're there to better yourself. And eventually, in a couple of months, you'll see yourself, starting to kill that mile. I remember when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. And this is before I got certified or I started competing or anything. First thing I started doing was starting to try to run a mile on the treadmill. And when I started, I would have to take a break, after a minute, 30 seconds, or, it would take me 20 to 25 minutes to run that mile. And then at my peak fitness, I was running a mile in 6:20, 6:30. So, and I was like, damn, I'm saving a lot of time being this healthy. But, I would recommend, sorry, my nose is itchy. If you're trying to lose fat, build muscle, make sure you're doing a solid amount of cardio. Um, start with light accessory movements. So start and dedicate, a day to a muscle. So this way you can learn the ins and outs of each of the workouts so you become comfortable with each movement. So if you're doing biceps, you want to work on cable curls. Spend, one day only doing biceps, spend another day only doing back exercises, spend only one day, solidify them into the days because that'll help you. really focused on the mind muscle connection. And by the way, for those that say mind muscle isn't real, I don't know if you've ever had a good pump in your life. Mind muscle is almost just as important as everything else in the gym. If your mind isn't there, like it's a whole nother spiel, man. But that's why when I go to the gym, and it's gonna sound weird, chat, so don't judge me. All right. When I go to the gym, I think about all the bad stuff that happened in life because it gets me into a different mode, and I don't even have to think about mind muscle connection because my brain is already running at 100 miles per hour. So the pain that I'm feeling from working out is now like automatically just kind of like intermingling with the other thoughts in my head, thinking about the past things that happened to me in my life that caused me pain. So, and my mind muscle goes insane nowadays. I was doing triceps yesterday. Triceps, yeah, triceps. I was doing triceps. I was doing tricep extensions, and I was on my eighth set, and I started at like 70 or something, or 80 or something. And my seventh set, I was at 10 pounds. And I was at like my third or fourth rep, and I just could not get like past that. But that's the point where your muscles grow the most. So I tried to get to like 8 or 9. I got to like 7. But the whole time, all I'm thinking about is the pain in my life, and then um, tricep, 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 tricep. I kept saying that in my brain the whole time. So you got to really focus on that and don't ever forget. Like that's why some people when they do chest press with dumbbells or whatever, they complain that they don't feel their chest enough because you're not thinking about it. You're not focused on it. You're not hyper fixated on contracting these muscles. But yeah, those are the couple things that I'd recommend for beginners. Especially if your goal is lose fat, build muscle. Cardio, make sure you're getting enough food and sleep. In the beginning, dedicate a day to each muscle, and really focus on mind muscle connection.
Okay. Okay. Kind of from your perspective, what's kind of the best things to kind of help with that stuff? Like taking pre-workout, post-workout, protein shakes. Amino acids. Kind of what do you think's the best thing to do for
Mhm.
people if they're trying to kind of build that muscle and do that stuff? What is some other stuff on top of just the normal day to day that they should invest in, or you believe they should invest in?
Um, it's kind of hard to say because everybody is different, but one thing that stays consistent is eating the right foods and making sure you eat the right amount of foods. Protein powder necessarily is it's not necessary. Protein powder is kind of for those people that don't have the time to get the correct amount of protein in each day. So, like right now, for example, I have enough time in my day where I can get all of my protein in for the day naturally through foods. And I do take pre workout. So I do. That is a good point. I do suggest pre workout for those who struggle with motivation. If you're having a bad day in life, take 2 scoops of your pre-workout, man, and get in that gym. The whole drive there, you may not want to get in there. You may not want to go in the parking lot. You may want to leave, but you open up your car door, you get in the gym, you start your first lift, and you start feeling crazy. There's nothing else in that world that you want to do in that moment when you take 2 scoops of pre-workout, man, and you're just lifting those weights. So, if you're really busy in life, I suggest getting protein powder. Um, Amino acids and all that other good stuff. It really, in my personal opinion, has never done anything for me. Um, I can't think of the name of it. There's what's the name of it? Well, I there's this thing I can't think of the name of it, but it basically helps you maintain water weight. So it kind of makes you look more fuller. So I don't recommend taking that either. Somebody in the comments or the chat will know what I'm talking about. But
Talking
um,
creatine.
creatine, god dang it, creatine, yeah. So creatine is it just doesn't really do much for me either. So really the only two things, like Vicious said, I would recommend is pre workout. You know, so I use C4, which is a pre workout brand that I've been using ever since my powerlifting days. And it does make you feel itchy. I'm not gonna lie to everybody, it does make you feel itchy. And there's a chemical in it that makes you feel itchy. So you can get pre workouts that don't make you feel itchy. Just the making me feel itchy part kind of pushes me to go even harder sometimes, so I use that. Um, and if you're really busy in life and don't have time to cook your proteins and weigh out your foods by gram and things of that nature, then yes, get protein powder.
Anything else you want to bring up about strength training, Murph, that you think is important for the people?
I think just consistency. Even the days you don't feel like going in, go in. And develop a plan. To follow because it's easier for you mentally. And it's okay to veer off of your plan. One day you feel like you really want to hit legs or something. Fuck it, just hit legs. If you're supposed to hit legs and you really want to do biceps and chest, fuck it, do it. But yeah, I think that's it, Vicious.
Okay. Very, very helpful tips, Murph. For those people that may get out. We'll kind of, I guess, real quickly wait and chat, switch it up a little bit today. Has anyone got any questions for Murph while we're kind of talking about strength training? Give it a sec, see if anyone, so we're not trying to answer questions or make weird things in between. If they happen, they happen. But give them a couple seconds. But we appreciate all that that knowledge, Murph. I mean,
Sure.
I myself just got into kind of doing some training. I've never really been a big fan of lifting and stuff like that, but because due to my new job and stuff like that, I have some more time available and stuff like that. So I've been trying to kind of do it myself and kind of grow myself. Get nice and lean. Hopefully, is my ultimate goal. But okay,
You got it.
so not seeing any questions come through, so we'll kind of move on here. So now we're gonna kind of talk about like the importance of recovery. As some of you know, I work as an athletic trainer. I worked with collegiate athletes. Now I'm working with pilots, so kind of different thing. But in terms of recovery, it's always the same. The stresses and everything you're putting in your body, whether that's you're lifting, you're flying, you're playing a sport, whatever. Your body is going through a lot of different various stresses. That you kind of need to make sure that you're taking care of your body. Like Murph said, with the when you're lifting, you have a bunch of those micro tears. So you got to make sure you're still letting those heal properly as well, because if they don't heal properly, kind of your lifting isn't going to really make a whole lot of sense, because you just did damage to your body, but you're not doing the right things to make sure that body comes back healthier and stronger. So there's various different things you can do. Post workout, making sure you get a good roll stretch. I always recommend a good roll and stretch, kind of before and after the workout. Seems like you can kind of get your body loose going into the workout, as well as after workouts, kind of working that blood through, kind of strengthen and loosen up those muscles after they kind of tightened up on you, trying to kind of roll out some of that possible swelling and bad stuff that kind of hit the joints, and everything like that from after you worked out. And then stretching, it's just a good thing to kind of stay loose and limber, because typically after you do something, your muscles will tighten back up. So you want to make sure that you're keeping them loose so that you don't lose any of that flexibility, mobility, especially with something like weight training. Squat, if you can only get down to not even 90 degrees, well, that squat's not going to be as effective. So making sure you can get down to whatever position you're needed for that certain exercise. As well as if you have some soreness, anything like that, you have some swelling, making sure you're getting some ice on it, that'll help kind of push some of that swelling away, kind of help bring more blood flow, kind of cause that blood flow to stop to that area. Because then it can help kind of get that um, tenderness, that swelling, that bruising, anything you may have from the workout. It kind of can help flush that out so that your body's feeling the best it can for their next activity, whether that's you're playing sport, you're lifting, going for a run, whatever it may be. I also recommend doing a good roll before bed. I've told this to my athletes and will continue to tell my athletes, the pilots, whoever I'm working with. I always think it's a good thing to roll before you go to bed. Kind of loosens up your muscles so you can kind of get into bed and not feel as like stiff sitting there, like some of those nights when you're like, I don't know what to do. I can't find a comfortable position. I feel like sometimes rolling out will kind of help you find that comfortable position that you may be looking for. So making sure that then it helps you sleep better, which is something that you need to recover. Your body needs to have sleep. If you're running on 1 hour sleep every night, your body's not recovering right. So then you go lift again, and you're keep increasing your chance of getting hurt. Whether that's whenever you're doing working out, you're increasing your body's ability or potential to have an injury, which can also bring you behind, because then, you hurt your hamstring. Well, you can't really lift, any lower body that deals with the hamstring until it, heals up. Because if you just keep trying to press through it, it's just going to keep tearing and all that, the fibers that build up, you're going to build up, but every day you keep going, it's just going to start tearing back and then trying to rebuild. So you got to kind of find that balance. But, doing things like sleeping well is going to help that hamstring heal more, instead of having your body tired, fatigued already going into something that you're trying to fatigue yourself out from. And then, as well as, making sure you're staying hydrated. When you're working out, just in general, you need to make sure you're staying hydrated. I can't remember the countless times that I've had numerous athletes, they, oh, I was, busy with this, and this. I didn't get to drink or eat a whole lot, and then they come into practice and they're like half hour in, they're like, I feel super dizzy, I feel lightheaded, I don't know, I just feel like crap. It's like, well, you didn't eat, you didn't get anything for your body's running on fumes, and so now you're not able to build what you need to. So by doing that, that kind of helps give some some energy for your body to make sure they can get through the workout. Or for instance, I worked track and field for, numerous years. Well, we were in Texas. So once you got the outdoor season, especially, April, May, it was already hitting, 70, 80, 90 degrees. So, everyone wasn't, drinking enough. So it was causing for more cramping or more, or potential more injuries to a muscle group. Because of their hydration, they decided, hey, I need to start hydrating the day before and start, doing liquid IV and drinking a lot of water, where realistically at that point in time, you're already behind. You should have been hydrating all week to make sure your body was hydrated once you got to that event. So, just hydration, making sure you kind of keep up with all that. It's, it can help with the body tremendously. As I know Mirf kind of talked about it and wanted me to do it, and I did do it. There is now a Vicious Health TikTok out there. So I'm going to be start kind of doing some of this stuff, talking about some of this stuff more, like kind of in depth or smaller things, stretches, rolling, all that stuff. You can check it out. It's vicious.health is the TikTok. So if you're interested in that, that's where you can find it. But we're going to hopefully go over this, maybe throw Mirf in there a couple times, talk about some strength training stuff, But, that's kind of recovery stuff. Anyone in chat or Mirf have any questions?
Are you going to start a YouTube channel?
Am I going to start a YouTube channel?
On health tips?
Maybe. I don't know. I kind of like TikTok. It's just kind of short, sweet, to the point. I definitely, I guess, could look into a YouTube one. If I did anything, it would be a YouTube, health one, but I essentially post what I'm posting on TikTok and do more shorts on there.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
All right. I think also, are you going to be, what are some upcoming muscles or areas for your health TikTok that you're going to be hitting on?
I'm just kind of throwing things together. I have done shoulder stretches so far. I have about one more shoulder stretch I was gonna do. Just kind of more some just ones that people can do just by with just their body. Ones that they can do, not having to worry about a band or having a doorway or anything. It's just kind of some stretches they can do, themselves. Besides that, I'm just kind of just going with the flow, just kind of seeing if what people, comment on and what they're interested in seeing. Just kind of with this help TikTok, it's gonna be just a lot of various different things. If someone brings up something, I'm gonna, in the next TikTok try and talk about whatever their question they're asking and stuff like that. So it's gonna be there's not gonna be any really flow to it. It's gonna be more, as questions come, I'm gonna answer questions on the next TikTok, and so far and so forth.
As a professional, Vicious, what's one of the hardest stretches, but it's the most beneficial stretch?
Um, Realistically, I mean, it kind of varies on individual. It varies on, I mean, a stretch that's difficult for me might be super easy for you. It just kind of depends on, stretching. I always recommend kind of doing, if you're doing lower body, do a whole lower body stretch. If you're doing upper body, do a whole, doing a whole upper body stretch before. I mean, it can vary. I don't feel like there's any stretch that's difficult. But again, to one stretch that might not really get a, feel like it's stretching for you, might stretch someone really good, something else. So, just, the difference of that, trying to figure out that stuff can kind of, it varies per individual. So I wouldn't say there's necessarily a hard one. It's because a hard stretch for somebody might be an easy stretch. It just kind of depends on how flexible and limber your body may be.
Okay, okay. And damn, I had a really cool question. How did I forget it that fast?
We'll give you a sec. If I don't know if anyone in
Oh,
chat.
okay.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
What's what do you recommend for somebody who has an injured shoulder, undiagnosed, but every time they do a lot of movement, it really burns the middle of their shoulder? What stretches or what health tips could you give this person? Asking for a friend. Obviously, it's not me, just for a friend.
Just for a friend. Making sure you're stretching. After you're done working out, icing. Um, you know, I kind of, when we're doing rehab, starting to do some strengthening stuff for it, all around shoulder strengthening. Necessarily don't need to be doing like overhead press, press and, all this different stuff. Like you can easily just do, getting in band and doing, internal, external, forward motion, backward motion, things of that nature. Those are simple things you can do to kind of help strengthen that shoulder. Obviously, you know, kind of doing it like super heavy, so doing like 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 12 initially, and then once it kind of starts getting better, doing more like a preventative measure, so doing 1 set of 10 and 1 set of 12 of each of them, as your pain kind of goes down to maintain that strength, because that's the hard part with most people is they get hurt, they start strengthening it, get back to feeling good, well then all of a sudden it starts bugging them again because they stop building up that strength or start focusing on the area, so that muscle starts to kind of weaken and starts causing that pain. So you want to make sure that you're kind of maintaining that strength. Whether that's, you're doing, once you get done with those bands, okay, now I'm moved on, I feel fine. Now I'm going to start doing more shoulder press, stuff like that. So, stretching before, stretching after. Um, you know, Another thing you can do is kind of get like a tennis tennis ball, lacrosse ball, anything like that, because like foam rolling, your shoulder is a little more difficult. So getting one of those balls, laying on the floor, laying against the wall, kind of putting that lacrosse ball in a spot that you feel super tight, kind of sitting on that for about 30, 45 seconds, kind of rolling around against the wall or the floor, finding another spot, sitting there about 30 to 45 seconds is a great kind of thing. But again, kind of, the shoulder things, all this stuff too kind of varies on the injury, what injury it is, and all that stuff can kind of determine on what you need to do. But it's, especially with exercise, if I always say, if it's a 5 out of 10 pain scale, you're probably doing more damage than good to that muscle. So, if you're pushing through it because it's a 5 out of 10 pain, 6 out of 10 pain, you're probably doing more damage to it. Whereas, if it's a 3 or 4, well, obviously that muscle's been through some, some struggles, an injury of whatever it may have been. So by doing more of those extra, by pushing it at a 3 or 4, well, you have to activate that muscle to get it stronger, to get it built up. But you can't just be like, oh, it's 3 or 4 pain, I can't do it. Well, your muscle, when it's injured, is never gonna feel 100%. So, and if you're feeling no pain with any exercise, then you're probably something not wrong with that certain part. But if there is some pain, we are expecting that because the muscle has been damaged in some sort of way. So you need to make sure that you're finding that line of, okay, it's hurting, but it's not this ungodly pain that you can't feel, because if you're doing that, then you're just kind of hurting yourself. If that
Okay,
answers
okay.
your question, Murph. I know it's kind of a broad thing, but again, each injury, as we learn in athletic training, we take the cookbook approach to it. For instance, my body is different than your body, Murph. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I could have a shoulder pain. You could have shoulder pain, but my pain, I can do everything and it doesn't really bug me. It only bugs me after. Whereas yours, you could be doing everything, and it bugs. As well as kind of going back to that cookbook approach. I make cookies, you make cookies. We still both make cookies, but our recipes that we use to make those cookies are different because we learned from our mom, we learned from a family member. This is how we make cookies. Is it wrong because my cookies were different than your cookies? No, it's we had to put different ingredients in mine because that's how I'm used to it. That's what works for me. Whereas yours, different ingredients works for you. So again, it's that cookbook approach that not everyone is the same. So you can't just do something similar to every single person and expect the same result.
Right. Okay. The kickback.
So, yep, cookbook approach. So, I mean, I know it's kind of, a weird thing, but, I thought it was a great way to kind of learn and stuff like that. It's, and that, I mean, that kind of goes to strength too. You can do one lift and it doesn't feel like it's doing anything for you, but then someone else could do that same lift and be like, oh my gosh, like, this lift's amazing. This is like, I die by this lift. Like, this is the only way to get,
Right.
XYZ. And,
Mm-hmm.
similar to, the weightlifting, everybody's body's different. So you just need to make sure that you're, at the end of the day, making sure you're doing what's best for your body. You know, Someone could easily say you need to roll, stretch, do this and do that. Well, if rolling doesn't help you, it doesn't help you. If stretching you feel like is what helps you, or various different things like, there's various different systems out there. There's the electric stimulation machines. There's hot and cold contrast. There's a bunch of things for different recovery. There's Normatex. There's a bunch of different things. It's just finding what works best for yourself.
Okay, okay.
So, um, well,
Great explanations, Vicioso.
um, I mean, unless you can think of anything else we need to kind of discuss, Murph, it looks like we're kind of getting towards the end of this episode.
Yeah, I think I asked all of my questions. I
Okay.
mean, for my friend, not for me, for my friend.
For your friend. Okay. Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
we'll let if anybody in chat has any questions for us, let us know now. If you haven't been able to give it to us yet, Murph kind of what's your, your question of today? You always have that good question that, what is it for today?
If you could be a superhero for a day, what superhero would you be?
Oh, the Flash, easy.
All right. That's just because he's your favorite superhero.
Yeah, exactly.
No. So you would only want super speed.
I mean, super speed can get you a long ways. A day I could run all the way to France, spend the day in France, and come back. Don't know how I'd get there. I'd have to learn how to map it out as with running super fast. But but that would probably be me. I know it's because Flash is my favorite superhero, but that's who I would want to be. Super speed. How about you,
Okay.
Murph?
I'm thinking something along the lines of like either Omni Man. Yeah, Omni Man. Super strength. Literally nothing can make him bleed. He can fly at the speed of light. So I'm gonna go Omni Man. I don't want to be Omni Man because he is a not a good guy dude, but his powers are pretty cool.
Okay. Okay. We'll take it. We'll take it. Well, it does
Is
not
there
look like we have any questions in chat. A little shorter episode for you guys today. Sorry about that first few minutes. I didn't realize my mic was not picking up, so I apologize for that. But Guitar Zan, Mr. Vegito, we appreciate you guys tuning in. But yeah, again, if you have any comments or questions that might rise up, let us know. What message us? Tell us on Twitter. Tell us on message us on Twitter. Put us on comment this on YouTube. If you have any questions, then we can kind of answer those for you if you weren't able to tune in. Again, we appreciate all you that tune in with us, live or watching this on YouTube. And we're kind of working on some stuff here. Hopefully, have some guest people here in the near future for you guys. So, we appreciate everyone that tuned in as always, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
peace?